For years, America watched American Idol as a platform that turned ordinary people into superstars. But what if I told you that behind the bright lights and standing ovations was a dark system of manipulation, bias, and silence? And now, at 37 years, old Jamal Roberts is finally speaking out, exposing every single judge and what really happened backstage. Buckle up, because this isn't the show you thought you knew when Jamal Roberts first appeared on American Idol over a decade ago. Fans were instantly captivated. With a voice that could silence a room and a charisma that felt effortlessly authentic, he quickly became a fan favorite. But here's the twist. Despite rave reviews from audiences and even some judges, Jamal mysteriously vanished from the competition during the top 12 cut. No official explanation, no farewell montage, just gone. At the time, fans speculated everything from contract disputes to personal issues. But Jamal remained silent. He faded from the public eye, making only a few low-profile appearances in local venues, and every time someone asked about American Idol, his response was always the same: "I'm not allowed to talk about it." What kind of contract silences a contestant for nearly 2 decades? Well, now at 37 years, old Jamal Roberts is finally talking. And the stories he's telling, they're nothing short of explosive, from judge manipulation to backstage coercion. Jamal claims he wasn't just silenced, he was targeted. And the most shocking part, according to Jamal, it wasn't about his stolen, it was about who he refused to become. But what did Jamal mean by that? Who exactly tried to change him? And why? Stay tuned, because in the next chapter, we'll dive into the alleged casting control that the judges used to mold contestants into marketable puppets, and what Jamal refused to do might have cost him everything as American Idol grew into a cultural juggernaut. It wasn't just about finding the next great voice, it was about creating a product contestants weren't merely singers, they were stories, archetypes, and marketable brands shaped by an unseen hand. And according to Jamal Roberts, this machine was far more calculated and far more controlling than anyone could have imagined. Jamal recalls being approached by producers just days after his initial audition aired. They loved my look, loved my tone, but said I needed a hook, something to make me more palatable for America. He said in a recent tell-all podcast what they suggested: rewriting his personal story. Instead of the struggling indie artist from Atlanta who sang in his grandmother's church, they wanted him to portray a different version of himself, an emotionally broken ex-addict who found redemption through music. Jamal refused. They said, "It's not lying, it's storytelling." I said, "No, it's exploitation." From that point on, he noticed a shift. Vocal coaches began spending less time with him. His songs, previously handpicked to fit his range, were now changed last minute, often to tunes that didn't match his style or vocal strengths. Then came the feedback, while America saw snippets of glowing praise. Jamal says entire segments were edited out. There was one night when Randy Jackson said, "I gave him goosebumps." Jamal claims, but in the final cut they clipped that and inserted a different comment, something more lukewarm. But the real bombshell: Jamal alleges that one of the judges, whom he refused to name, directly pulled him aside backstage and told him flat out, "You're not going to win this, you're too difficult to control." It was then he realized American Idol wasn't just about talent, it was about compliance, about fitting into a mold crafted behind boardroom doors, not recording studios. And what happened next would send his entire journey into a tailspin, because the moment Jamal pushed back, not only did the producers turn against him, they allegedly did something that could have ruined his career before it even began. In Section 3, we'll uncover the shocking retaliation Jamal says he faced after standing his ground, and how it nearly cost him everything. Standing up for yourself should be empowering, but in the world Jamal Roberts was thrust into, it was a risk with devastating consequences. Just days after his confrontation with the show's producers, things took a drastic turn. Jamal began to notice what he described as a strategic dismantling of his presence on American Idol. He was cut from promo materials while other contestants were featured in interviews and behind-the-scenes content. Jamal was suddenly nowhere to be found. It was like I became invisible overnight, he said, and it didn't stop at media appearances. Jamal alleges that his performance slots were moved to unfavorable parts of the show, placed between bigger, flashier acts that producers knew would overshadow him. His song arrangements became erratic, and despite his repeated requests, he was denied the opportunity to sing original material. A privilege granted to other contestants, but the worst blow came in what he calls a staged failure. During one of his live performances, Jamal sang a powerful rendition of "A Change Is Going to Come," a song he says was deeply personal and chosen deliberately to reflect his struggles. But when the show aired, the audio quality was noticeably off. His mic, he claims, was deliberate to later down for the broadcast version. "You could hear the band louder than my vocals. It made me sound like I was shouting off key," Jamal explained. "The judges criticized me for being pitchy, but I wasn't pitchy, you just couldn't hear me properly." That performance, he believes, sealed his fate. The next week, he was eliminated without warning and without a clear explanation. And just like that, one of the most promising voices of that season disappeared from the national spotlight. But Jamal's struggles didn't end with his elimination. According to him, the retaliation extended beyond the show. He claims he was blacklisted by industry contacts associated with American Idol. "I'd walk into meetings and get smiles until they asked me who I'd worked with. The moment I mentioned Idol, they'd suddenly remember their schedule was full." Jamal recalled there was even a moment when a small label in Atlanta showed interest in signing him, but mysteriously pulled out days later. Jamal found out the label had previously collaborated with Idol's parent company on licensing deals. If you don't play by their rules, they don't just cut you off, they make sure everyone else does too. So why now? Why, after all these years, is Jamal finally speaking out? What changed, and who from the original Idol team does he believe owes the public an explanation? The answers are not only shocking, but they involve names you've seen on your screens for years. In Section 4, we'll break down the key judges he's accusing and what they allegedly knew about the show's manipulation from the very beginning. For most viewers, the judges of American Idol were more than just critics. They were mentors, icons, and the guiding forces behind the show's magic. But according to Jamal Roberts, the judges weren't just passive commentators on talent. They were active participants in a system that manipulated outcomes, suppressed individuality, and rewarded compliance over creativity. And now, pressured to change my story, she just smiled and said, "Honey, you've got to play the game to win it." He felt dismissed, silenced, and most of all, alone. But perhaps the most disturbing revelation involved the third judge he identifies only as the sharp one, who many interpret to be Simon Cowell. Jamal claims Simon was not only aware of the manipulation, but actively encouraged it. He thrived on it. He didn't just judge talent, he judged usefulness. He once told a contestant in front of me, "If you won't play the part, you'll be playing for tips." I never forgot that. Jamal also alleged that during the season's off-camera production meetings, Simon had a direct hand in song selections and elimination strategy. "We were told he was just there to critique, but the producers treated him like an executive. What he said stuck." He believes Simon saw the show not as a talent competition, but as a marketing engine. And when someone like Jamal didn't fit the blueprint, they were deemed expendable, no matter how talented they were. The allegations didn't stop at manipulation, though. Jamal hinted that certain contestants were allegedly favored because of behind-the-scenes deals, early negotiations with labels, promises of brand endorsements, and family connections in the industry. One contestant, he claims, was signed to a silent development deal before they even reached the top 10. "How's that a fair competition?" he asked. And for every contestant who rose through the ranks, there was another like Jamal who was quietly pushed out the back door, their dreams crumbling under the weight of contracts and control. But what does Jamal want? Fame? Revenge? No, he says, just truth. "I stayed quiet for 15 years because I was afraid they'd come for me again, afraid no one would believe me. But I'm done protecting the people who made millions off of our silence." And here's the twist. Jamal isn't the only one speaking up. In our final section, we revealed a new wave of former Idol contestants who are now coming forward with eerily similar stories and what this growing movement could mean for the show's legacy, its future, and the reputation of everyone involved for years. Jamal Roberts' story was an isolated whisper buried beneath non-disclosure agreements, career threats, and the blinding glare of Hollywood success. But something has shifted. In the wake of his recent revelations, other former contestants, once silent, once scared, are stepping into the spotlight. And they're saying the same thing. American Idol wasn't just a talent show, it was a machine, and it chewed up more than it ever lifted within weeks of Jamal's interview going viral a former season. 8 contestant posted a cryptic tweet. "Funny how things I was told to forget are finally being talked about." Jamal's not lying, that tweet gained traction, prompting other former contestants, particularly Thasu, who left the show under mysterious or abrupt circumstances, to chime in. Some shared their own struggles with contractual restrictions, forced rebranding, and emotional manipulation. One contestant from season 10 revealed that she was told she needed to lose weight or she'd be marketed as a joke contestant. Another from season 5 admitted they were instructed to keep their same-sex relationship secret if they wanted airtime. What's even more revealing, several background staff members, vocal coaches, stylists, and even a former assistant producer have begun anonymously confirming parts of Jamal's story. A whistleblower using the alias BA stated in a Reddit AMA, "We knew who was going to the finale halfway through the season. The rest was a performance, not the singing, but the results. And now journalists are picking up the scent." Investigative reporters from entertainment outlets and independent media platforms have started connecting dots between past contestants' departures and rumored backstage interference. One journalist unearthed internal memos suggesting certain contestants received image alignment consultations with publicists linked to the network, a service mysteriously unavailable to others. The question is no longer if the manipulation happened, it's how deep did it go and who ordered it. This growing movement, some are calling it #Idol Unfiltered, is beginning to chip away at the pristine legacy of a show so considered untouchable. For over 20 seasons, American Idol sold itself as the embodiment of the American dream. But if these allegations are true, that dream was carefully constructed and selectively granted. And for Jamal Roberts, this moment is bittersweet. He admits he's still healing, still unsure if speaking out will cost him future opportunities in an industry that doesn't take kindly to whistleblowers, but he says he has no regrets. "I didn't do this to burn the show down. I did it to finally breathe again. Someone else out there is going through what I did. I want them to know you're not crazy, you're not alone, and your truth matters." As the walls of silence continue to crumble, the conversation is no longer about one man's fall. It's about an industry reckoning and the possibility of finally building something better, fairer, and real. And now the world is watching. Will American Idol respond now? Will the judges speak out? Or will the show go on pretending none of this ever happened? Before we wrap up, let's take a look at what we've uncovered and where the story goes from here. For over 2 decades, American Idol stood as a beacon of hope, a stage where unknown voices could become icons, and where dreams could quite literally change overnight. But as the lights dim and the curtain falls on Jamal Roberts' revelation, one thing has become painfully clear. Behind the glittering stage was a shadow few dared to confront. We started this video with a bold claim that a former contest had finally exposed every judge on American Idol. And now, after peeling back layer after layer of curated smiles, edited sound bites, and scripted feedback, we see the outline of a deeper truth, one that challenges everything fans thought they knew. Jamal's story isn't just about a single contestant who got a raw deal. It's about a system that rewarded silence, punished individuality, and used vulnerability as a selling point. It's about how mass entertainment think back on the contestants who mysteriously disappeared from the spotlight, the fan favorites who were suddenly eliminated, the shocking results that didn't Makes sense. Maybe now they do the revelations shared by Jamal and others challenge us to reconsider the price of fame and who really pays it. Is it the showrunners, the judges, the networks? Or is it the young, hopeful artists who put everything on the line only to be told they weren't marketable enough? And what about us, the viewers? We laughed, we voted, we tweeted, but did we really see what was happening? Jamal's courage in speaking out is more than a scandal, it's a turning point. Because now, for the first time, the public has the power to demand transparency, to hold networks accountable, to protect future artists from exploitation disguised as opportunity. But here's the thing, this story isn't over. The producers haven't responded. The judges remain silent. The machine for now keeps running, but with each voice that rises, with each truth that surfaces, that machine begins to crack. So now we turn to you, the audience. What do you believe? Were you surprised by Jamal's claims? Do you think American Idol has a responsibility to address these allegations? Have other contestants you followed vanished without explanation? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one, and if this video opened your eyes, or if you believe in lifting the curtain on the hidden truths of the entertainment industry, hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into the untold stories, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next expose. We're just getting started. Until next time, stay aware, stay informed, and never be afraid to ask what's really going on behind the scenes.